you watching the video right now, would you rather have potentially MVP caliber All Star, one of the most exciting players in the NBA, in Anthony Edwards, or would you rather have a 40% shooter in Duncan Robinson that is 28 years old and doesn't play defense and was getting DNPs in the playoff because his coach couldn't throw him out there? Now, you might be like, well, wow, why are you asking me this question? That was really obvious. I'd rather have Anthony Edwards. Well, 2 years ago, people were having that debate. People were debating, wow, would I rather have Duncan Robinson or would I rather have Anthony Edwards? Hmm. Now, the TikTok that we're going to be talking about today is the argument from Overtime Peter. No hate towards Overtime Peter or Ryan Rousseau or even like Duncan Robinson. He has a great podcast. I think you should check it out. I'll put the links in the description. Seems like a great guy. Here, I'll play the TikTok. Let me take you back.
I saw this tweet asking whether you would trade the #1 pick in the draft for Duncan Robinson, and I kind of went back and forth. Would you rather have one of the best shooters in the NBA who is a bit of a defensive liability and already 26, or the opportunity to get LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, or someone else? So let me know what you think. Oh, by the way.
Now, to be completely transparent, in the comment or in the caption of the video, he does say, I love Duncan, but I would probably go with Anthony Edwards as the first overall pick. Which, is covering his tracks. It's smart. It is probably what he legitimately thinks. But in the poll, he voted yes. The little check mark next to the yes bar means he voted yes. But the fact that this was even a conversation, it tells me how people are so skewed on what the draft, really, just the draft. Now, the argument that I see a lot is I would rather have a solidified player that I know what they are than a draft pick. And I understand. I completely agree. That is why in my last video, I was saying I would rather have RJ Barrett than Colin Sexton draft capital. That's why I said that. But that isn't a clear-cut first overall pick. In this hypothetical situation, the Timberwolves were sending the first overall pick to the Miami Heat. They were sending it up. We knew the first overall pick. Now, I can see a team trading like a late lottery pick or like 12 to 15 early out of the lottery. But this wasn't one of those. This wasn't even a gamble. We knew it was the first overall pick, right? And in this draft, the 2020 draft, it was a two-man race. You were either getting Anthony Edwards or you're getting LaMelo Ball. James Wiseman was kind of third. We didn't really know. But Anthony Edwards was the pretty clear first overall. Pretty clear. Now, Anthony Edwards in 2022 carried his team, was the best player on the Timberwolves last year, and he carried them to a play-in spot where they played the Clippers and advanced to play the Memphis Grizzlies, right? The Memphis Grizzlies ended up winning the series, but you know what? The Timberwolves had a really good chance to win that series. I would argue they should have won. Now, Anthony Edwards played great for 2 games. He did cost them one of those games, but we can look past that. But Duncan Robinson plays with Miami Heat, was very clearly in the playoffs this year, but he didn't play. Eric Spoelstra wouldn't play him. He wouldn't play him. But if they had Anthony Edwards, they legitimately would have won the NBA championship. This was 2 years ago. We didn't know what Anthony Edwards was. So you're like, well, I guess it can't be that bad of a take. So let's look at the past 12 years. The past 12 years of first overall picks. And you're like, wow, some of these names here, they're pretty good. Wow. But there are like 1 or 2 players you go back and forth on. Like Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz, he's a good NBA player, but he wasn't the first overall pick worthy. I still wouldn't trade him for Duncan Robinson. I would much rather have Markelle Fultz than Duncan Robinson. Or even the chance to select Jason Tatum. even Lonzo Ball. The top 3 players in that draft are better than Duncan Robinson. And then we keep moving down. We see DeAndre Ayton. He's pretty good. Ben Simmons. He made an all-star game. Karl Anthony Towns. We all know how good Karl Anthony Towns is. Kyrie. Wow. Anthony Davis. Wow. Derrick Rose. Wow, Derrick Rose won MVP. Blake Griffin. Wow, Blake Griffin was in MVP conversations not too long ago. And then you stroll upon Anthony Bennett, who is arguably the biggest draft bust in all of sports. Not just the NBA. He's the biggest draft bust in NBA history for sure, but he's one of the biggest draft busts across all of sports. So that's like the one instance of you got it wrong. But that's one pick. In 14 years, the past 3 players, Paolo, Cade, Anthony Edwards. Now, I know Anthony Edwards is in some hot water with a stupid Instagram story that he posted, which, come on, man, we got to be better than that. But we're not talking about that. I think that TikTok is a great way to share information, but I think people have such a bad idea of how the first overall pick works. You get a chance, a really good chance, to select an all-star, select an MVP. Hakeem Olajuwon, LeBron James, players like that, first overall picks. You don't get those players for Duncan Robinson. Now this video sounds like a huge dunk on like Duncan Robinson, a dunk on dunk, but it's not. It was just a legitimate conversation that people 2 years ago were having. And I wanted to look back on it in 2022 with hindsight. Now, I know hindsight, 2020, but with hindsight, that would have been the dumbest trade of all time. That is why 44% of y'all have no chance to work in a GM. Someone would have probably shot you. They would have, a deranged fan would have come up to you and tried to take your life. Because sports fans are crazy, man. I don't like them. Oh, I do. I like some of them. And like I said, nothing to take away from Duncan. Great player, great story. If you haven't heard the Duncan Robinson story, I would implore you to listen to it. But Anthony Edwards has a legitimate chance to be the MVP in the next 5 years and is a top 10 player in the league under 25. We're not trading that for a 28-year-old sharpshooter. Thank you for watching. It's been a peace.